Welcome to the B-side for April 2019. The last B-side for a few months because as you guys saw in my most recent video, I'm moving to New York. But I still have to tell you about all the cool records I heard this month and show off some really cool records I picked up. You're gonna want to see this. So this room is a bit of a disaster. There is almost nothing left in it, but it is still chaotic. I am in the pre-moving process of trying to figure out what stuff I'm selling, what stuff I'm getting rid of, what stuff I'm giving away, what stuff I'm trying to still ship. It's a lot of logistics, but I want to make sure I'm still talking to you guys about vinyl because that is an integral part of my life and hopefully part of yours. But the first thing we're going to do is talk about the albums that came out this month that I heard, and I'll tell you what I thought of them. First one is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Fishing for Fishies. Now, it's been a minute since the last King Gizzard album, and by album, I mean the last 5 albums they released in 2017. They put out a massive amount of records. They were all excellent, and last year was kind of silent from them for the most part. They recently just put out Fishing for Fishies, and I was extremely excited to grab it. The vinyl variant I picked up from Flightless is absolutely beautiful. It's like this flaming explosion, and the cover is this weird cyber kind of fishing western. The album itself is a really interesting dichotomy of styles, and in natural King Gizzard fashion, it works pretty well. But I will say that I didn't love this on first listen. Usually their work grabs me right away, but this one I think is gonna have to grow on me. I like this hybrid of synthy sounds and western rock, but ultimately it felt a little directionless. The titular track, Fishing for Fishies, is probably my favorite on the album, but overall nothing was bad, but there wasn't a lot that was memorable. Next up we have Damien Jurado in The Shape of a Storm. I've been talking about DJ on this channel for years and years and years. One of my all-time favorite singer-songwriter, folk artist type people, and he has a ton of albums that I really cherish. This album in particular is a departure from some of his more recent sounding records that were a little more produced and symphonic at times. This is a stripped down, simple Damien that I usually really love. It's incredibly sparse and open, kind of like Sufjan's Carrie and Lowell, but it's missing something that CNL had that made that one of my favorite albums ever. It's just guitar and vocals for the majority of the album, but it's missing that compositional depth and lyrical density that really won me over in an album like Carrie and Lowell. This, while still heart-wrenching, is not exactly as powerful sonically or thematically, and ultimately was not his best release in a while, but still an enjoyable listen and very pretty. Amon Tobin released Fear and a Handful of Dust. Now, Amon is kind of similar to Damien Jurado in the sense that Amon is one of my favorite down-tempo electronic experimental artists that has a ton of records in the past that I love pretty much unconditionally. Anything he does, whether it's soundtrack work or a regular album, I'm at least interested in and usually love. This album in particular might have to grow on me. It's warmly experimental and otherworldly, odd, sometimes world music inspired, but I think it meanders a little bit too much for my taste. Now, it sounds more like his soundtrack work than his album work, and I was really looking forward to more of like one of his meaty albums. Even his last album, Isam, was excellent. Ultimately, this was not a complete hit on first listen. It kind of bored me at times, even though there were some standout tracks. I think I'm going to give it another listen. It is very dense, and I think it will grow on me if I give it time. Paak, Ventura. The Paak man has been giving us a lot of stuff lately. Last year we got Oxnard, which was a collection of songs that obviously were good because Paak is just a talented, incredible dude, but not really a great full album. Nothing that really made me want to re-listen to the album beyond some of the singles. I love Tints, but obviously Kendrick Lamar had a lot to do with that. Ventura is a better album than Oxnard. It flows better, it has a better vibe to it. Some of the standouts are really strong, like the track with Brandy, I think it's called Jet Black, and the track with Andre 3000. Any album that gets Andre to rap on it, you know it's going to be at least good. And this is the best thing Paak's done in a while, but it still hasn't reached that zenith, that Malibu and Venice hit, that level of energy and those hooks that really made me a huge fan of Paak to begin with. It's a good record, but I don't know, I think I might be liking the idea of Paak more than Paak these days. And finally, Local Natives, Violet Street. I love the first 2 Local Natives albums. They are both just bangers full of amazing hooks and sweeping, soaring instrumentals, catchy songs. The third album was a complete miss for me. I can't even think of one song I liked off it, so I was hesitant to listen to this one, but I was seeing it got pretty good reviews, so I was like, alright, I'll give it a chance. And while they're a little more directed than the last album, it also just felt a little blasé, a little similar within itself, and ultimately I think if I want that Local Native sound, I'm going to stick with Gorilla Man, or I'm gonna stick with Hummingbird. They're just albums that really speak to me versus this one that's just kind of fine. Alright, before we get into the records I got in this month, let's talk news real quick. The first big order of news is that TMR1, aka Fort Vine Stay Magical, has gone to press. As you guys saw in the video I put out last week, I received the test pressings. They sound incredible. If you guys pre-ordered this, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. 45 RPM, it soars on my clear audio concept. One of the better sounding records I've heard in a while, and that's a testament to Trevor and Nina's amazing composition and the mastering that was done on Crate's part. I mean, they did a great job mastering this for vinyl because previously it was only digital or CD. So awesome job with that. I cannot wait for this to get in your guys' hands. I think it'll be shipping in about a month. Give or take. So fingers crossed, it could be earlier, but TMR1 is going to be great, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of it. And the other bit of news is my records, as you know, I am moving to New York, have crossed the country in the method I chose, and I believe that they made it there safely. The boxes are intact, the box was opened, no seam splits on top, a single disc was taken out, I think it was pulp different class, and my dad said that it was not warped, it looked flat, so I'm going to assume based off that, even though there's 20 plus boxes, I think they made it okay. So once everything's settled and I'm in my new place in August and I have my new studio set up, I'm gonna make a video explaining how to move your records cross country and the experience I had, because it was incredibly harrowing, but I think the hardest part is behind me. Alright, let's talk about records that came in. The first thing I want to address is actually a label that I really love and have talked about numerous times on this channel, Needlejuice Records. I originally heard of them when they did their own pressing of Polygon and Wonderland. It was incredibly cheap compared to some of the other pressings, but it came out super high quality, awesome gatefold, beautiful rainbow colored wax. They did a great job and immediately went on my radar. As a brand new label that had nothing behind them, they had a ton of future in front of them. And they've put out a bunch of interesting things so far. If you watch my live streams, I've opened maybe 3 or 4 records from them, but I want to highlight 2 right now. One is kind of weird and a novelty and an oddity, and the other one is a record that I am stoked that they pressed to vinyl. Let's start with the weird one. The People's Choice Music. The story behind this is actually kind of fascinating. In the 90s, these Russian artists, Komar and Melamid, did this study where they were like trying to figure out what people loved in the art world, what they hated, and based on the data from that study, they created the best and the worst painting of all time. Basically an amalgamation of all of the things that people liked and didn't like and threw it all together in one. Well, Dave Soldier, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, decided to do the same thing but with music. They did a poll of what people liked, what people didn't, and ultimately came up with this: the most wanted song and the most unwanted song. It was on CD a while ago, and now this is the first time it's on vinyl, and it's a novelty that you should own just for this backstory alone. So the most wanted song, side A, is an interesting kind of almost Celine Dion R&B style song that flows into what feels like a Bruce Springsteen-esque Americana ballad. It has all these like very strong like anthemic notes. It's kind of cheesy, but it's definitely a song that's comprised of things that most people like to hear in music. Also, Vernon Reid, the guitarist from Living Colour, plays guitar on the track, and that's pretty awesome because Living Colour is an underrated band. Now, the most unwanted song is on the B-side. That is about 4 times the length of the most wanted song, and it is an absolute cacophony nightmare of music. I can't memorize this right now, so I'm going to tell you the types of things that you'll find in this song. Cowboy music, bagpipes, accordions, opera, rap music, sometimes the 2 of those fused together, children's voices, tubas, drum machine, and advertising jingles. There's actually a call to shop at Walmart throughout the song as a motif. This is so funny and awkward and horrible to listen to. You gotta throw this on when you have friends over. It's just a ridiculous thing, and Needlejuice decided to press it to vinyl. They did 2 different variants for it. The first one is the Wally wheel. I guess it's the Walmart colors because they keep referencing Walmart in the song, which I thought was a pretty funny choice. The second one is Pretty Ugly, which is a combination of a beautiful baby blue and a horrible dookie brown, which kind of symbolizes one track to the other. Both records sound great, look great, and are definitely things that if you're into kind of weird novelties, you gotta have in your collection. I'm pretty sure they're still on sale, so go check them out at Needlejuice. I will put a link in the description if you want to check that out. But while you're at Needlejuice's site, you don't want to stop there because this is a joke record, but there is a real record that you need to add to your collection for the sonic purposes. For the Vaporwave fans, this is Mind Spring Memories. She's been around for a very long time, and if Telepath is the king of slush wave, Angel, aka Mind Spring Memories, is the queen. She is amazing and prolific and has put out music under Fire Tools and Mindspring Memories and a few other aliases. All of her stuff is interesting and experimental, and not everything is my cup of tea, but the MSM stuff is right up my alley, and this album, I think it's called Ohm. It's kind of just this symbol right here. But yeah, this is one of the earliest tapes I remember hearing in the Vaporwave scene, and if any album is deserving from the 2015 era of Vaporwave, give or take, to be on vinyl, it's this. It is slush wave that just enraptures you. It wraps you up in sound and holds you tight. It is the prettiest version of drone. And if you like sound baths like that kind of just put you in a trance, you're gonna wanna pick this up before it sells out. And honestly, I'm kinda shocked it's not sold out already. This is an amazing colored record. It matches the cover, let me do this right, so perfectly. Look at that, it's just like the gradient right there with the tricolor. This is one of the coolest cover to colored record combos, it's a lot of C's, that I've ever seen before. And of course, Needlejuice does it right with these polyline sleeves and a really solid pressing. So 250 copies, it's gonna be gone soon. If you're looking to build your Vaporwave collection or just kind of dive into some of the more impressive stuff in the scene, this Mindspring Memories album is definitely worth your time. Let's talk about video game soundtracks for a quick second, shall we? I Am 8-Bit put out Gone Home soundtrack. Now, Gone Home is done by Chris Remo, who also did a couple other video game soundtracks that are on vinyl. This one in particular, though, won me over despite the fact that I'd never even played the game, because the type of music is directly up my alley. Beautiful, haunting, atmospheric, these simple, ambient melodies that kind of give this spooky but nostalgic feeling. This was recommended to me. Someone was like, if you heard this soundtrack, you're gonna love it. And then I saw I Am 8-Bit was pressing it. And first of all, really cool kind of like foily cover, which is a nice touch. But the record itself is beautiful, just like the music. It's this really nice marbly purple. And I've never played this game before, but this music tells a story all in itself. I don't need to play the game. The game is happening as I listen to it. And it's great pressing. And I would say if you're into that kind of music, which I'm sure a lot of you are if you watch this channel, this is a video game soundtrack that stands on its own. I Am Shark has done it again. I Am Shark is a great label also. I love showing off some of these smaller labels that don't get enough love. I mean, they get a fair amount of love, but they can always get more. This guy, Craig, who runs this record label, has put out a ton of incredible releases, from Attack the Block soundtrack to some Star Wars soundtracks, but most notably for me, he has worked with this amazing artist, Dan Mumford, who I am just enamored with his work. I'm actually looking for one of his prints that's sold out. It's the Final Fantasy VII one, and it is absolutely on my want list. If anyone knows where to get it, let me know. I do own a Rick and Morty print of his, and the work he did for Star Wars The Force Awakens was beautiful. He actually worked with I Am Shark to create album jackets that are based off of his art, and those 4 are long sold out. He had 4 variants. This one, for The Last Jedi, they worked together again, and they're just as incredible. The art, the records themselves, let's take a look at both. So if you guys saw The Last Jedi, you'll know that this was an absolutely iconic scene, and yeah, of course it's a massive gatefold with this really, really great centerpiece. But this was one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie, and this is the Kylo Ren variant. Just look how beautiful this came out. Just, it's really gorgeous. Both sides are actually fairly different from one another. Dan Mumford art is legendary, and to have it on an album jacket is just terrific. This is double disc, of course, and the other one is another iconic scene from the film. This is actually Luke training Rey. And this version's really cool. It's hard for me to show you on camera just how cool it is, because under light is really where it shines, pun intended. But it's kind of like this murky, interesting, see-through. See, I'm seeing it right now and it's blowing my mind, but you can't see it. I'll try to throw a picture up of what it actually looks like. But this is actually my favorite of the 2 variants. It's just hard to show you on camera. But if you guys like Star Wars and you like good art, definitely grab these. I'm hoping that him and Dan work together again for The Rise of Skywalker, but we will see. I'm gonna assume yes, but you never know. But those are great pickups. And finally, my last 2 pickups I'm gonna talk about on this B-side are 2 more video game soundtracks. They're both from Moonshake, who I've also been talking about on this channel for at least 3-4 years. Moonshake is a guy who has done a ton of game soundtracks. He does his own art for them that's usually a parody of a different album cover, incorporating whatever the theme of that game is. And some of them are extremely rare. The early ones go for hundreds and hundreds of dollars so you can find them. But I love looking at the art, I love listening to the music, it's super nostalgic for me, and the 2 that he recently released are the Metal Gear Solid soundtrack. So you got this really nice, I think that's Psycho Mantis on the front, just chilling in the style of a Black Sabbath album cover, Iconic Volume 4. This is just on black vinyl, but you don't really need anything else for Metal Gear Solid. This was a game that I enjoyed. I never was a huge Metal Gear fan. I'm not gonna lie to you, I pretty much just got this because the first track on this is the PlayStation 1 title theme, which that sound is up there with my favorite sounds I've ever heard, and I hope it's the last thing I hear before I die one day. The one I was actually very excited for was a game I played throughout my entire childhood. A little controversial right now, so we're not going to get too deep into it, but this is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And Sonic is in the pose of MJ's Thriller album, and that's because MJ actually worked on the music for Sonic 3. Little known fact. I love this gatefold. If you open it all the way, you'll see that Tails is chilling in the back. This was just done so well. It's a huge gatefold, like I said, and on the inside you get another little picture of them. I mean, this is the combo of you know, MJ and Sonic done so well with the Thriller cover. I mean, the guy who does Moonshake is just such a talented artist, such a creative, and such a visionary when it comes to this stuff. I'm going to be doing a video at some point about the video game bootleg scene because it is so impressive. Some of the big names in it right now, the amount of effort they put into these releases is just more than any of the major labels. I can say that with a fact. I got one of 3 variants. I got Sonic Blue, which I'm honestly pretty happy about. I am a huge fan of Knuckles more so than Sonic, and there was a Knuckles Red, but I think the blue matches the cover better. And then there was a hybrid of the two, so it was kind of like a purpley color. So that was cool too. So shout out to Moonshake. I hope they keep doing more. I don't know, this could be the last one, but if not, I will keep showing them off when I get them. Alright guys, that was a long B-side for April, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Quick reminder, if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bell is turned on so you're not missing any videos I put out. I'm going to be putting out videos while I'm doing this transition from California to New York. I might miss a week or two like I said, but I'm really trying hard not to. In the meantime, I'll try to do live streams. Always hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, links are in the description. If you like this video, give it a like. Please leave me a comment with whatever you're thinking. What albums you got in April, what albums you're looking forward to in May. Since there's not going to be a B-side, A-side for May, feel free to kind of expand this and say what you're looking forward to or hoping to get in the near future. Thank you guys for watching. More videos soon. Take it easy.